Coming off a serious knee injury, has had neck issues as well. And despite signing a 4-year, $160 million deal with the Giants a season ago, the Giants are talking about potentially taking a quarterback in the top 10. If you're Daniel Jones, how should you be approaching this time of year and trying to live up to that contract that they believed in you enough to sign last year?
The appointments are lined up.
You waiting for somebody in there?
Got an appointment.
And it's not about what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
It's not personal. It's strictly business. It's time you and me had a private talk, Winger. Step into my office.
It's Step Into My Office with Michael Lombardi. Mr. Lombardi, we'll see you now.
Starting off with an oldie but a goodie, because Robert Saleh, it's been far too long since you've stepped into the office of Mr. Michael Lombardi. Michael, as we mentioned over the weekend.
Me? He's worn the carpet out coming over here. Are you kidding me?
He was in need of an appointment. It's been too long, Michael. It's been too long. And we mentioned that over the weekend, the Jets made another signing. They bring in Hassan Reddick from the Eagles. He is one of many veteran signings that they have made, many of which have had a lot of health concerns, injury issues in the past. There's also a lot of questions about the coaching staff when it comes to this team. But in terms of controllables, Michael, for Robert Saleh, what does he need to focus on to make the most of this offseason and the group of talent that they have acquired?
I think what, Robert, you have to do is find a way to balance getting your team ready to play and not overworking your team. I think it's going to be really important. I think last year you kind of thought it was all going to come together. And Woody Johnson was talking about wanting to get more of you as a head coach, not a defensive coordinator. And I think ultimately that's going to be your role here, is to figure out how to get everybody not healthy for opening day. Not that. When everybody is together at the end of the year. I think use NC State as the perfect example. How can we peak at the right time? Because you're going to have a lot of rust on you. The quarterback's going to be rusty. We know he's not going to play in the preseason. He's going to have minicamp. We understand that Mike Williams is rehabbing. He's going to take time. You certainly don't want to waste Tyron Smith in a preseason game or Morgan Moses. So I think you've got to take September and use it as kind of an extension of the preseason and really do a good job of figuring out how to balance getting ready, not for the opener, but getting ready for the stretch run and getting your team the reps it needs.
Yeah, what I'm most excited to see with this team is if that upgraded offensive line in Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, if they can stay healthy and protect the quarterback. Because that was, the offensive line play and the injuries that they sustained throughout the course of the season, it was abysmal. It was brutal. Sitting right now, win total 9.5. They're plus 220 in the division, 22-1 in what feels like a Super Bowl or bust season, oddly enough, despite the year that they are coming off of. How about Jamal Shead, guard for Houston? He's stepping into the office. Consensus first-team All-American year. Led Houston to a top seed, Sweet 16. He ends up going down with a sprained ankle in the first half of their last game of the season. Falls apart against Duke. What advice would you give Jamal Shead as he heads to the NBA after this disappointing ending to his illustrious collegiate career?
You know, I think ultimately every setback obviously opportunity for a comeback. And I think everybody recognizes, from every coach you've played against, from Buzz Williams to everybody, to your own coach, Kelvin Sampson, about how good of a player you are and how your work ethic and how your ability to defend anybody on the court. That's going to separate you in every single draft. That's going to separate you from everybody as you move forward. So, you know, it's unfortunate you sprained your ankle and you couldn't have beaten Duke, because you and I both know you would have beaten Duke. There's no question. Your mental toughness would have carried you over the Duke Blue Devils. But that's behind you, and all you can do is control on what you control. Get healthy, get in the best shape you can, get ready for the NBA draft, and just show the people in the world that you can do this on a higher level, which everyone knows you can.
Someone else who needs to get healthy, Daniel Jones, coming off a serious knee injury, has had neck issues as well. And despite signing a 4-year, $160 million deal with the Giants a season ago, the Giants are talking about potentially taking a quarterback in the top 10, not putting a kibosh on the potential of trading up as well to get their guy if they fall in love with somebody. If you're Daniel Jones, how should you be approaching this time of year and trying to live up to that contract that they believed in you enough to sign last year?
Well, I think the number one thing you have to do, Daniel, is get healthy. That's one. Two, you've got to win back your teammates. You got to get the confidence in you. And you can only do that by controlling what you control. Work hard, prepare hard, and then you're going to have to make some critical plays at critical moments in the game because there's doubt within that building. There's severe doubt that's placed on you. Whether it's right or wrong, it's there. There's doubt whether they can win with you playing quarterback. The doubt comes from the coaches to the players. And somehow you're going to have to erase that doubt. And the only way you erase that doubt is by leading your team in the fourth quarter, by making plays on third down, by helping your team win. Because right now you're looked upon as the guy that they signed before Saquon. And as Saquon has a career in Philadelphia, you're going to have to magnify your career in New York to match it. Because everyone's going to keep saying, well, you know, we have Daniel, but we don't have Saquon. And that's not your fault. That's John Mara's fault. So you can only control what you control. And you're going to have to make plays and remove the doubt. And it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to be mentally tough, and you're going to have to be mentally strong to handle this because you're going to throw some incomplete passes. You're going to make some mistakes. You're just going to have to battle through it. But the one thing you can't do is look over your shoulder. That will do you no good. All you can do is control what you control.
Before getting knocked out of the season in his sixth game of the year, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for Daniel Jones. So we'll see if he can get healthy and get right on the football field. Let's go to DJ Burns as we return to college basketball. Everybody's favorite player in 2024. He had 29 points in 29 minutes against Duke to send NC State to the Final Four for the first time since 1983. But this regular season for this team was mediocre, 17-14. They are not power rated highly, yet have won 9 straight games. How should Burns attack Purdue's Zach Edey in the Final Four with the big men going at it down low?
Well, I think you got to take the game to him, right? You know, you're going to have to be as physical and match him physicality. You're going to have to stay out of foul trouble, right? You're going to have to be on the court. You can't win this game with you sitting next to coach. You're going to have to be on the court. You're going to have to play. And I think you're going to have to use your physicality. You're going to have to make him work, right? You got to make him be tired. And we saw stretches yesterday, and you watched the game closely, where when Edey was running up and down the court, he would get tired. I mean, big men get tired quicker than the little guys do. You know, he's moving that big body up and down the court. And that's when you got to take advantage of it. You got to have to fight this battle like a true boxing match. You're going to have to pick your spots, back off, pick your spots, come back, but make them work. And you got to do everything in your power to stay out of foul trouble because they're going to come right after you. They're going to try to get you in foul trouble. That's going to be all Painter talks about is how can we get the big fella in foul trouble, right? How can we get Burns in foul trouble to make the mistakes? And I think ultimately you've got to understand that. That doesn't mean you are just going to walk away and not have contact. But you got to be really smart. You can't have dumb fouls like we saw P.J. Hall get on a loose ball. You got to be really smart. And because in the last 8 minutes of the game, if Purdue is going to be able to beat you, it's going to be because you're not on the court.
NC State, the first school in NCAA tournament history with 14-plus losses in the regular season to reach a Final Four. Go, Pack, go. But let's turn the tables and go to Zach Edey then as he steps into the office. Michael, a 2-time National Player of the Year, had 40 and 16 against Tennessee, sending the Boilermakers to their first Final Four since 1980. What does Edey need to do to close things out strong with all of the expectations that are on this team to have success?
I think, Edey, you need to be in the right block of the court, right? I think you're a better player when they feed you the ball as it's coming into your right hand and you can move to your left, which allows your right hand to shine. And then I think you've got to work on free throws because they're going to keep hacking you and you're going to keep going to the line and you're going to have a great day shoot. You can't have an air ball in the last 4 minutes of the game like you did yesterday. You can't have that. We can't have that. They're going to foul you. If we're going to win the game against NC State or even against Connecticut, if we're fortunate enough to get there, it's going to be because you're really good at the line. And we're cashing in on the fouls that get accumulated up on you. So to me, this is when you're playing in these kind of games, it's not about doing something different. It's about doing what you do best. You're best when you get the ball in the right block. You're best when you can create fouls. And you're really good when you go the line. And I think ultimately those are the 3 things you have to continue to work on and continue to be a physical presence inside.
22 free throw attempts against Tennessee. And after that Elite Eight win, he said in the postgame, they thought they knew us, man. They thought they knew what we had in our hearts. They didn't. We're bleeping winners. Let's see if they can pull a Virginia. We know in 2018, they get knocked out the first round of the tournament, go on to win the national championship after all is said and done. Can Purdue do the same after the devastation that was that loss against Fairleigh Dickinson a year ago?